pro era rapper that I think we talked about one other time
Mhm.
with his prior album
Oh,
drop.
yep.
Looking for the name here.
Open Flame EP last
Thank you.
August.
Nyck Caution, straight out of Brooklyn. Um, yeah, I mean, where do you stand with Nyck Caution? Are you a fan?
Well, of course, man, of course. He had so many great moments on the Beast Coast album
Yeah,
from 2019, you know.
that was really where I was introduced to him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he had features, of course, on like Joey songs and all that as a pro era member, but and the Nick and Knight stuff. But really, I feel like the Beast Coast album was where most people got reacquainted with him because he was quite young when he started um, as a rapper. So on that, you remember the songs like Bones or like these really rapid fire flows, and he had kind of a unique delivery within the pro era crew and within Beast Coast, and I thought he definitely uh, made the most of his limited time on that Beast Coast album, no question. And on Open Flame last year, a brief EP, but still had some good highs, namely a song like Margot Robbie, which just was a classic, dusty ass boom bap song like a lot of old school Joey was. So always happy to hear more from Nick, and this is his debut album,
Hmm.
Anywhere But Here, at last.
Yeah, and did you feel like Anywhere But Here was one what you expected to hear from Nick, but then uh, was at the quality level that you were hoping to hear from him?
Yeah, I don't really know if it changed my perception of him at all, but I did like it quite a lot. I think there's some numerous highlights on this
Mhm.
album, and that would kind of just because, like Joey, he has grown past his boom bap traditionalist beginnings and obvious influences, and I think just has a more well-rounded sound and approach to making rap. And on some of the best songs, you hear that on Anywhere But Here. And there's, like a lot of pro era projects, Beast Coast projects, there's choice guests along the way. So yeah, I think there's a number of highlights, but yeah, I mean, I feel like Nick just kind of goes to the beat of his own drum, like a lot of these dudes. So he's not trying to chase any trends or hey, get any TikTok hits or anything. He's just making the music that speaks to him, and it's by design, not probably not for everyone, but I still liked it a lot.
Yeah, I thought this was a really solid album. I agree. I don't think this changed my perception of like his ceiling or how I see him as a rapper moving forward. It's actually funny because I think like the first like half of the album is kind of reminded me of the Jack Harlow album, but with just better bars in a way. I think
Yeah,
especially just like
sure.
the sound being more of that jazzy hip hop sound that's very popular right now. But then about like halfway through, it really starts to pick up for me, and I think especially once you start to get people like Denzel Curry jumping on the track, like the energy level just totally like skyrocketed. And I think the album is helped out a little bit by some of the features in the second half. So I found the second half, I think, to be a little bit more engaging than the first half, but although the first
Mhm.
half was still a solid listen. Um, I think that Denzel Curry track "Bad Day" was the one that jumped out to me. How did you feel about that one?
Yeah, that's great. That's also, I think, it's a strong Denzel Curry feature. Didn't feel mailed in at all.
No.
When Denzel, on top of rapping, also gives you kind of that, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it reminds me of like Clout Cobain, his
Mm,
song, like that kind of delivery on that shit's great. And also unique because Denzel just kind of brings that whenever he's on the track. It's just there's just something special about him.
yeah.
Um, Product of My Environment really stood out to me because I think that's one of Nick's best performances as like a coming
Hmm.
of age storytelling type song. Again, competent ass bars about growing up in Brooklyn. And then you have really good guest spots from Code of the Friend and Eric the
Yeah.
Architect of Flatbush Zombies. That one stood out to me a lot. Um, and then, I mean, you got a Joy feature on this, but I actually also quite liked What You Want with Gashi towards the beginning. And that actually probably had my favorite quotable from Nick. I put a ski mask up and leave you slumped. God. Uh, good stuff there. Um, yeah, what else stood out to you?
Yeah, well, you mentioned "Product of My Environment," which I agree was one of the stronger tracks. I also really like "Things Could Be Worse." with CJ Fly and Jake Luttrell.
Mm.
Something about that
Ah,
song just really like caught me. I think it is like CJ Fly just brought a lot of energy to that for me. Um, but yeah, I think overall I left this album being like Nick Caution is going to be putting out a lot of very solid albums, and I, I could almost see him having obviously not quite in like the same vein as Mac Miller, but someone who like is putting out a lot of really solid
mm,
albums, and maybe then takes a little bit of a leap as he gets just more seasoned and might start experimenting more, or finding that more authentic sound to him. But
right.
definitely just overall really solid artist, I'd say.
Yeah. Early on December 24th, which I think is another good Nick performance, I thought it was notable that the hook is farmed out. It's not him. It's LB3 on that
Mhm.
on that in that instance. And I Nick hasn't like tried to, again, like I said before, he hasn't tried to like sing and like diversify and become all melodic or anything in that regard. But the rest of the sound has evolved. So the thing that Mac Miller comparison actually makes some sense, but I'm curious how far he would actually take that in terms of genre, because Mac really did evolve across genres. But actually, I think my favorite song would be the closer, "Kids That Wish,"
Mm.
where that's probably where you get like the most unique or new delivery from Nick on that, and also I think the message on that song is quite good. I like the line about chasing hits on TikTok and stuff. And overall, this album seems to be influenced a lot by the loss of Nick's father, who was a
Yeah,
big part of his life. But I mean, even that's the thing about like a lot of the pro era guys, a lot of the East Coast guys. Like we talk about, so like underachievers. It's like they don't have to do anything else to just have like really long, uh, vivid careers as just New Yorkers that have good bars, and like there isn't, there'll always be an audience for this, you know.
totally. Yeah, it's impressive what I feel like that collective's doing, and I'm hoping that we continue to see like a couple of these guys keep rising up. Obviously, Joey's the big name, but you know, CJ
Right.
Fly was great on this. We have Kirk Knight, who I think we've liked some of what we've seen from him. So,
Yeah.
um, definitely, I think they're an exciting group to keep following for sure. Any last thoughts before we move on?
I like the timing of this. Get it out now. No one, there's nothing else to talk about. I have to imagine this would be one of his more listened to projects, just by the fact that he can grab more people's attention.
I was
It'll
going to
get
ask you,
it'll
is this
get
album
posted
of
by
the
more sites and stuff.
is this the album of the year so far?
For me, yes.
Yeah, same
January
here.
18th, it's my favorite album of 2021. Definitely.